Coming up on episode 139 of Creative Writing, I'm sharing why you need to write a book.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hey there, it's Kirsten from Creative Writing. This is the podcast for you, a writer, blogger, or creative who wants to build an online platform without being smarmy. I'm so excited that you are here today. I'm excited to be talking about this topic, which is one that I think about a lot, but I know when I first started writing books or thinking about writing books, I wasn't thinking about it at all. So maybe I'll save you some trouble and probably not heartache, but maybe, and some mistakes, or just make things a little bit easier by sharing not only why you need to write a book, but some of the goals that are kind of the why behind writing a book. Because if you're not sure about those, you might actually be missing out on some bigger, greater purposes. So we're going to dive into that. There's another episode you should also check out where I interviewed Honorée Corder, and I feel like this episode, it's not the same as her book, but she wrote the book called You Must Write a Book. And so I'm not just going to sit here and tell you should write a book, but you need to listen to episode 104. You can go to creativewriting.com/104 to listen to that and read the show notes. You can also check this episode out with all the links by going to creativewriting.com/139. But I am going to encourage you to write a book. And even if you're like, no, I'm not going to, let me know through email or in the Facebook group afterwards if you felt a little bit more convinced. And we're going to primarily talk about nonfiction, but I am going to talk a little bit about fiction as well in here. So that's a lot of buildup. Let's just talk about it. Okay. So I'm going to break this down into 3 basic categories, and they all start with the letter B because I planned alliteration into this. So the first reason why you might write a book is building. The second is being known. And the third is banking. So yeah, we're talking about the big bucks. Hey, also starts with B. Didn't plan that one. That was a freebie. Those are the 3 main headings for today. And I want to break down the reasons why. Now, just so you know, if you're writing a book, you're probably going to have more than one why, and you can use a lot of these kind of together and they feed into each other sometimes, but also it's really good to think about because sometimes they don't tie together and you're choosing one over another. And I'm going to give some examples of that. So let's talk first about building. So one of the reasons that you might write a book is to build your audience. And this, I'm going to be a little bit more specific and say, I think it's best if you are thinking about it in terms of an email list. Now, this is where freebies come in a lot. So I have a nonfiction freebie that's actually on Amazon. It does not build my email list, except for the fact that I have it optimized really well to build my email list. And I do see growth every day. I meant to pull up the stats for that, but I probably get a few hundred downloads every single month of that freebie on Amazon. And I'm not sure because I hate tracking. I think I have a tracking link set up, but I don't like to look at it. But I do get email subscribers every day because it's an online planner and strategy guide, which you can get free on my site as well. But I made a version for the Kindle. And then inside of that, if you want the planning pages for the 2017, no, this is 2018. We're in the year 2018, in case you weren't sure. I wasn't for a second there. It has the planning pages for 2018 if people sign up for my email list. So there's a link in the book that goes to a sign up page and my list grows from there. So that's list building, but I also have that book, including all the calendar pages for the year 2018, which we're currently in. I have that on my blog as well. So when you hit my blog, there's actually a little bar up top that says, get your yearly planner and strategy guide. It's over, I think, in the sidebar as well. And I have some posts on it that are also, shared out on Pinterest and other places. And so you could be building your email list, which is a great way to build your audience. And I talk about this a lot, but I don't want to harp on it, but I also don't want you to miss it. If you're new, email list is the best way to actually have an audience. The people who like your Facebook page, they might be your audience, but they could be gone anytime. MailerLite, which is an email service provider I use for my fiction list, just shared a link, a post actually about how Facebook deleted their entire page and did not give it back. They had to start a new page. They were allowed to do it, but they lost all the fans that liked them. Your email list is totally different because you own it. And unless you're using some kind of sketchy service for it where they don't actually keep those emails, you could lose them that way. But like generally speaking, it's a very secure thing. If you're panicky and nervous, you could actually download a list, like a CSV or Excel file of all your emails every single month so that you have those subscribers at your fingertips. Cannot do that with anything else. Can't do it with Twitter, can't do it with Facebook, can't do it with Instagram, can't do it with, do I need to go on? Okay, no, I'll stop. See, I went off on email. But this is why it's really important to build your list. So if we're talking about audience building and using a book to do that, your book can absolutely do that. And it does it best when it's free. If you have a free book and you're getting people in the door, and then if it's a free book, so the free book itself could be the sign up, but also if you want to use a tool like Amazon, which again, I don't ever advertise that, and I get downloads every single month for that book. I am getting signups from it. And I actually have people email me that say, I bought your book on Amazon and signed up. So you can actually use a free book on Amazon and then have the sign up be in there. But you probably will get a lot of people that download it and don't sign up. And that's okay too, because then maybe they'll still come back to you and buy something else if they really liked your book. Okay, so building. I think I've hammered that enough with the whole idea of building an audience or email list. So that could be a goal. Again, that's typically with a free book. And also another option for building, and now I'll talk a little bit about fiction, is you could be working on empire building. That's what I've been calling it this year as I've been working to build up Emma St. Clair's name in the clean romance genre. I've been joking with people, but I'm really also serious that I'm building Emma's empire. And what I mean by that is that I want to build up the name, and that's going to get into being known. So that will kind of like feed into the next point, but being known and having people start to read my books and get hooked on them. So when I first started writing, I wrote fast. I wrote a novella in December and I wrote it in about a week, and I'm actually not happy with it. And I'm rewriting it now to re-release now that I know more and know more about the genre. But at the time, I still got a couple hundred email subscribers because in the book, I optimized it and had an email sign up like, hey, if you want to read the next bit of this story, I wrote another novella, and that was free if people signed up. So I definitely grew my email list with that. But it also was the start of my empire, and I wrote a full-length novel that tied into that story. And I will say, I feel like that novel, while I was very proud of it at the time, the more I've written, the more I want to rewrite it because I just feel like it missed some of the marks I'd like to hit. So I may go back and even rewrite the novel. That was the first novel. But here's the thing. I wrote it quickly because I wrote the novella quickly in December for Christmas because I had to get it out. I probably wrote it in November, but I had to get it out. I really missed the window, but there's still people reading Christmas, but in December, but they always say to like have them out now, like September, October, they should be out. But I wrote it really fast so I wouldn't miss that. And then I wrote the novel as quickly as I could to keep those readers kind of sustained, even though, now I wish I had done more reading in the genre and other things. That's okay because I was building an empire. And so my goal at all times was to continue going. And so I wrote books in series because that was a standalone kind of book. With romance, it's really hard because you can't have cliffhangers. Your people want happily ever after. So if you're writing a series, they all have to be kind of like different characters or something else. Usually it's not, you might have some interwoven characters, but it's not the same couple typically. Just that's how romance works. So I learned that as I was going, but as I was empire building, I did a lot of books that I chose to write in a certain order because it was working toward the greater goal of building that empire. For example, the next book I wanted to write was about the beach, and I did. And then I wanted to write that sequel, but I realized that there was a really trendy niche for billionaire books, which I still find a little bit laughable, but I've written 3 of them now and I kind of love them. Even though I think the idea of billionaire romance is a little bit ridiculous, that's fine because it has readers. And I was looking at the stats, and my beach book, which I promoted the exact same way as I promoted my billionaire book, made 1/3 of the money in the first month. So let me say that again. I had the same size list. Actually, I had a bigger list when I released the second beach book, but when I released my first billionaire book, I made 3 times the money in a month. So that was part of empire building. I chose to write a book first that was more about building that empire and getting my name out there and getting people reading my books. So when you're in the building stage, and it's not just a stage because I'm still building the empire all the time, but you want to think about those goals, because your goal might be to build the email list, which may mean you have a free or 99-cent book with a really heavily optimized or a story that relates next. Or it could have to do with empire building. You might want to get books out faster, or you might want to write to a specific trend or niche, and you might want to do it faster because you want to get discoverability, which leads us right into the second B, which is being known. And this is a huge reason that a lot of people overlook for writing a book. And if you're on the fence or you're like, no, I'm not going to, this is the reason that you need to write a book. Being known, and the first kind of subhead under there is being known as the authority on your subject. And this could be any subject. This could be the subject of traveling the world, like Maddie from, I'm trying to think, actually, The World is Home, but I was thinking about your letters, the detour travels, but that could be it. Schooling your kids. She's one of the people in my audience who is doing something really unusual. She and her husband are traveling the world with their kids, and they're doing what she calls world schooling. So it's kind of like homeschooling, but they're doing it as they travel and teaching the kids and exploring through that. It's amazing. So you can look for her Facebook group. I'll link to it in the show notes. The World is Home. But she could write a book on that. I've never seen another book on that. And even if there is one, she could still write one, but you could be an authority on a particular topic, or at least get your name known for it. So I have a book on email lists, and writing that book helped me get speaking gigs at conferences and other things because I wrote the book on email. It's not the only one out there. In fact, there's a newer one I just picked up that I'm excited to read from somebody else. But that helps build your authority. Your name is on a book that's on Amazon, and it is really different. Like, some people want to know whether they should put it on their website or on Amazon. It depends on your goals. If you are trying to build authority, you want it on Amazon because you're going to have your name in front of people. You might be able to get author rankings and other things for that because your book is out there. It looks more authoritative to have your book up there. So that's a really important thing, is authority. Now, I'm not trying to gain authority with Emma. Emma is not, well, she's an authority in romance, but that's not how I think of it. But I am with Emma, so with fiction, doing the second subhead under being known, which is gaining visibility. So sometimes you want to have, it makes sense for you to do a day where your book is free. And if you're doing that, you really need to line up promos. This is just a tip. If you're going to have a free day, a Kindle countdown day, if you're using Kindle Unlimited for your books, which I found didn't work as well for my nonfiction, but it's still nice sometimes to have those free days or the 99-cent days. And then you can stack it with a promo like, I'm trying to think of some of the ones I use. My Book Cave is one that I use. There's Bargain Booksy or the Choosy Bookworm. There's a lot of sites like that where it's like a promo where you pay and they will send out on specific dates your book to their thousands and thousands and thousands of email subscribers. So you're getting out in front of other people. So that's helping with that visibility. So a loss leader is, in business, typically seen as something that goes out in front of people. And this is not the business way to explain it. This is how I see them. It goes out in front of people and gathers an audience. It is not going to make you money. It might actually, you might create it at a loss, but it gets people in the door and it gets them buying more stuff. So you might want to gain visibility by having a free day. I hate having free days for my fiction book, but at the same time, I've seen the stats for what they do for my downloads the next couple of days, and they do help me make money. But I really don't like giving things away. I tend to like the 99-cent days better, which is still good. That's still a great sale price for a whole book that I wrote. Giving it for 99 cents even kills me, but it's a way to gain visibility so that people find my other books. And whenever I have a book that goes on sale, I always see, this is for fiction, I always see my other books sell more too. I always see more page reads. And so that gaining visibility is kind of important, or it may be important to gain visibility to have some books that are low priced, at least for a time, maybe for all time. Again, as I mentioned with the free planner, that's to build my email list, but that also gives me some visibility on Amazon. That book does pretty well on Amazon in terms of downloads, and I don't do anything to it just because it's free all the time. So you want to, as you're trying to be known, authority is a great reason to write a book. And also just gaining visibility is really important. So building my Emma empire as I'm building, being known is a big part of that too. And so that you're actually not just you're out there, people are seeing you and they're actually coming in the doors. And so when you're doing something like, and I'm going to give you a contrasting idea in a second as we go to banking, but for Emma, I might really want to get a ranking in a niche category for clean romance. And there's a lot of different categories. I mean, Amazon has like 22,000 categories. So if I can get number one, even in a small category, more people will see my book. But that might mean picking, a different main category than I normally would. It might mean having my book at 99 cents. I did a test and had one book launch at 99 cents for a whole month. And then the next book was only 99 cents for a week. I made more money on the 99-cent book. That was 99 cents for a whole month. I made more money because it got more people in the door. And so those are things to think about. I was able to get the ranking up higher because it was at 99 cents. More people saw it, more people bought it. And it was kind of like that cycle, which leads us right into this idea of banking. And so when you're thinking about the reasons to write a book, most people, I think, start with money, where I feel like I want to encourage you guys not just to think about that, because books don't always make money. Like if you have a book that 99 cents, you have to sell a lot of them to make a bunch of money, or you have to have a lot of page reads in KU, Kindle Unlimited. If your book is exclusive to Amazon, that's what that means. If you're not sure, it's when you sign up and put your book on Amazon, you say you want to be exclusive in KDP Select. That's getting your book in Kindle Unlimited, where people pay a subscription fee and can read your book. So actually about 80 to 90% of my income with Emma comes from those page reads, not actual book sales. So if you want to make money, you have to think about that. So when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about whether or not I would prefer to have my books not just on Amazon. I would prefer to diversify that. But when I did a test, again, I like testing. When I did a test and had one of my books this summer release, not in KU, so it wasn't getting page reads, it was only getting book sales, I made so much less money. I just shot myself in the foot with that book. I could have made probably double or triple if the book had been in KU, and it wasn't. So, again, my goals are my goals to, have a longer sustainable career. Well, not being in KU might help, because at any moment Amazon could change the algorithm or kick me off, and then I have no income. And then I'd have to start from scratch in the other platforms, which is fine. But for now, for the short term, I'm working on making money, and also I'm still building. I'm building my email list. I'm building visibility. I'm building a backlist of books. Lots of B words in there today. And so for me, it makes sense to be in Kindle Unlimited. There's actually a really great interview with Alana, I think it's Johnson. I should have put that up there. She also writes as Liz Isaacson, and she's someone I've connected with in the clean romance world. And she did an interview about doing pre-orders. And I hate pre-orders. I will just say, I've done a couple. I hate them. They really stress me out mentally. And she was talking about why she does them. And her books are always done when she puts them up there. She is like way ahead. So her pre-orders are fully done a couple months in advance. So she wrote a whole bunch of books, I guess, and then put them all in pre-order, and then kind of got to glide. So when she puts a book up, it's done. I've been writing so quickly. I've been doing a book a month. So my books are not done, and it's incredibly stressful. So what she said though about this is, when your book is on pre-order, as it sells beforehand, so as people buy those pre-orders, the ranking for the book changes right then. So say, for example, my last pre-order, I think it got 120, 150, somewhere in between there. It was not more than 150. It might have been right around there. 150 or so pre-orders. And my rank kind of increased as those went. But the day my book released, it was not as though I had sold 150 copies on that day. I actually did get a good ranking, so it can help, but I didn't have the ranking I would have had if all those, in other words, Amazon does not count all those buys as happening on that day. They happen over time. So my book rank went up and down during the pre-order stage instead of getting this giant boost. And so Alana was talking about how the fact that she may not get the ranking that some people are looking for, but she makes more money doing the pre-orders. And I don't know that that's going to be true for everybody, but I say that just to let you know that some of the practices and different things you may try, if your goal is to make money, then you might have to let something else go. And so she lets ranking go. She might still have a great ranking. She has a big email list and following and sells a lot of books, but she doesn't have the ranking she would have if she did not do a pre-order, because she's kind of giving that ranking up over the 3 months that her book is on pre-order, because I think that's as long as Amazon lets you do it ahead of time, is 3 months. So for that whole 3-month period, her book is selling and getting ranked and, going up and down, but it's not ever getting the ranking it would if she waited and kept all those orders. But she's about the money, and it makes more money for her to do the pre-orders. So thinking about banking and doing the goal, or having the goal be to make money, you might be giving something else up. Now, making money goes hand in hand with a lot of things. Maybe you can build your authority and also make money. Win-win, right? Where you could be, I've been building Emma's empire, but I've been making money. I don't think I expected to make as much as I've made. I've been surprised and delighted with the amount of money that I've made. And the goal was to make money, but the goal was to build something more long-term. And so I wasn't thinking that I would make the money that I've made, which is great that I've made that. So when you're thinking about banking, if that's your primary reason, then you might be giving up something else like ranking. Now, it's important to think about the fact that when you have a high rank, you have that visibility I talked about with being known, and you might sell more books. But you'll start to learn your own process. Like Alana knows pre-orders work for her, that they make her more money than it makes for her to be ranked. So it's just something that you're going to have to test and see. But when you are choosing a goal, it's really important to choose a primary goal and then choose a secondary goal, because if authority is more important than banking, then maybe you price your book differently or do something else differently. Maybe you go wide, even though you could make, which is meaning not just being on Amazon, you go wide, even though you could make more money on being in Kindle Select, because your goal is authority. And if you want to have authority, you want to be on iBooks as well and Nook as well. So those are things to think about. And another part of banking is the second kind of subheading under there is that you could consider the book as kind of a funnel. Even if it's a paid product, if you have something that is higher price, like maybe you sell coaching, maybe you'll sell courses, you could talk about those things in the book. That book could be an entryway for people to gain trust for you, to see the kind of knowledge that you have, and to know more about you so that they're willing to give you money down the line. And that's kind of a long game, where you're getting people to read the book, you're getting people to sign up for your email list, or having contact information where they contact you directly about hiring you for something or buying your course that's related to your book. So the banking doesn't just have to come from the book itself, because again, a $99 price point or $299 price point, that's not going to make you a ton of money. So it's really important to think about the different reasons that you could have for having a book, and maybe it changes. You could have a book that's about authority, and then later you decide to make money, so you do different things with the marketing. You can do whatever you want. I just want you guys to think about this, because if you're not thinking about it and you're like, I just want to write a book, then you might miss out on some of the nuances of planning out your marketing strategy and the different tools that you're going to use, because you're not really thinking about the specificity of what your goal is. You need to think about those specifics. So I'm going to give you a couple of, I think 4 action items that kind of go in order. And hopefully, if you hadn't been thinking about writing a book before, specifically nonfiction, hopefully you are now. I hope that you are thinking and the wheels are turning about what it is that you could be an authority on, and what it is that you could use, what it is you talk about that you could use to grow your list through writing a book. Okay, so here are your action items. The first is, I want you to do just what I said. I want you to consider what you can and should write a book on, you personally. And the second one is right behind that, right on the heels, is you need to research. Now, here's the caveat. If other people are writing about your topic, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. Okay. It means though that you need to find your unique voice, your unique story, your unique spin on it, so that you're not writing the exact same book as somebody else already has. But it is really good to research and see what's going on in that specific area. And then the third is to look through this list. And again, you can go to creativewriting.com/139 to get this list of goals and to think about what your goals are for the book, because that's really important before you even start writing. It's great to have these goals in mind. Now, if you're already writing, that's okay too. You can still think about the goals. If your book is already out, that's okay. Also, you could look at these goals and say, okay, I'm going to switch up my entire marketing plan because I don't care about making money. I want to be known, or I don't care about making money. I want to grow my email list. So I'm going to go back and optimize my book put links inside of it, and then put it back up on Amazon to sell again. So it's not too late, even if you've already written a book, to think about your goals. And then you're going to plan. You're going to plan for what you're going to put in the book to optimize it, because you definitely want to optimize the beginning and end of your book with email signups. If you're writing nonfiction, in my nonfiction books, I often in each chapter will have a reminder like, hey, there's a workbook that will help you with this. Click here to download if you haven't already. So I do this throughout nonfiction. I saw someone try to do that in fiction once. Don't. It's the worst. It made me want to stop reading the book and write a 1-star review. You don't want to have an email sign up in the middle of a fiction book. Just tip. That was a freebie. And that's my second time to use that phrase. I'm not going to edit it out. I just noticed. But carrying on, how are you going to optimize your book? What kinds of things are you putting in the front or back? And that depends on your goals. That's why you got to think about those goals first. Okay. Are you convinced? Are you going to write a book? Do you know more about what you want to do to write a book? I'm not talking too specifically at all, even about marketing or any of the other things, but I think this is the really important framework that you need. And I hope for those of you guys who have not yet thought about writing a book, that those wheels are turning. I want to encourage you to do it. So maybe we'll start a thread in the group where we're talking about what you could write a book on. And if you haven't thought about it before, think about it. It may be simpler than you think. It doesn't have to be a long book. It doesn't have to be like the giant research-filled be-all, end-all on blogging. Like you could pick one specific area of something that you know to write your book on. Okay, that's all I've got for you guys today. So if you want to find the show notes for this, you can go to creativewriting.com/139. And if you want to sign up for my email list so that you get notifications when these podcasts are up in the quick fix, that's my Friday email with links and resources that you need to know. It'll keep you from having to Google and pay attention so much because I'm going to share all the goods with you. You can go to creativewriting.com/quick fix to sign up for that. Also, this week is launch week for my book, Write and Grow Rich. And if you're on my email list, you've already heard about it, but I would love for you guys to go check that out. That is 99 cents. I'm not making any money on that. The goal for that one is 100% authority. Actually, I have some other goals as well. And if you buy the book, email me because I'm actually going to do a private training just for my people who signed up on my list, sharing kind of the insights of what it's like to be a part of a multi-author group like this, whether you're trying to get on the USA Today bestseller list, which was our goal, or you have another goal and you're joining with other authors. I've done some other series, like multi-author series. I'm going to share the good, the bad, the ugly, the warts, the high points, and all that kind of stuff of why I chose to be a part of this particular team and do this book to try to get on the bestseller list. So if you want to check out that book, you can go to creativewriting.com/write and grow. Write as in like writers, not like you are correct, sir. So just to be clear, creativewriting.com/write and grow. And that'll take you right to the book on Amazon. It's 99 cents and you get a whole ton of bonuses. And if you email me that you bought it, I will include you on the training that I'm going to do where I just kind of share the behind the scenes. That's enough talking for me. Yeah, I'm really passionate about book writing. Could you tell? Was it apparent to you? I hope so. I'd love to talk more about it in the Facebook group, which I think that's the only link I have not shared yet. If you're not in our Facebook community, it's fabulous. You can go to creativewriting.com/community. It's going to take you right there. Now, go out, create work that you love, and serve your people well.